Now let's talk about websites and what I said earlier as in building your company's equity or your company's wealth, right? So when I think of a sustainable business, something that is a machine, my parents have built a freaking machine. They sell real estate and they have a damn machine. They get a machine that prints 300 grand a year. That's what it is. They never had that machine when we were kids. They didn't have that crap when I was in college. But now they have a machine that they can pretty much sit back and it's going to print them 300K a year. And that's just what it does. And they worked on it for like the last 10, 12 years. And my dad built a blog, and you guys can go check it out. It's called sarahsellssarasota.com. Thank you for invite followers. sarahsellssarasota.com. You go check it out. You go type in Sarasota real estate, Palmer Ranch real estate, different neighborhoods in Sarasota. My mom's website's going to show up like top 5 every single time. And then you go to my parents' website, and you can search the MLS. That's a multiple listing service. So you can go look at all your properties. Now, my dad doesn't make people register on his site. He makes it more user-friendly. He also doesn't block it out. So most sites will let you look for like 4 or 5 properties, and then after that, you're blocked or whatever. My dad's just like, no, do whatever you want on my site. My dad's competitors use his site to look up real estate listings to show their clients. So the point there being is that my dad's website has traffic on it all day long. His email list is also over 4,000 people. And every month he does a market report. So what happened in the Sarasota market? How many homes sold? How many of those were for cash? How many of them were mortgaged? How many of them were foreclosures? How many of them compared to last year? And he's got all the charts and all the graphs. And every month he sends that out. All the real estate investors want to know about it. All the people who are invested in real estate, people that own homes, they want to know what the hell is going on in the Sarasota housing market. And then when it comes time to sell their home, they're like, oh, well, let's call Sarah, because that's my mom, because they sell homes. They obviously know what the hell they're doing. And if you go talk to any other realtors, right? Any other realtors, like, they're hanging out, dude. They're not doing shit. Like, I know a couple friends that have real estate licenses, and they're, like, chilling at the beach. And they're like, oh, yeah, I got a listing, but, like, whatever. Meanwhile, my parents are hustling it, and they're building their email list. So when you come to my dad's website, it's real easy to get a market report and just type in your email. And then you're like on the email list. Now that email list has 4,000 people on it. Personally, I'm full disclosure, I really have nothing going on in my website game. Very, very weak. But I have studied the website game and the copywriting game for like the last 3 or 4 years. And like, I mean, everything I digested, right? Like all of my content, everything that I've been working on, like Blue Ocean Theory, and then the Arrowhead, winning the story war, because if you're going to write, it's a big deal. Like Advertising Secrets of the Written Word by Joseph Sugarman. I'm really fascinated with these guys because the next step for me and what I do, right? The reason I mention having a baller blog and a baller site later that has content, it could be videos, it could be whatever, is because when you get people that call you, I'm going to talk about one of my dudes that called me today, called me from Craigslist yesterday, right? Most interesting man in the world. And he calls me up and he's like, hey, I got this, the dudes that are the cheaper customers, like the smaller jobs, are always more of a pain in the ass than the bigger jobs. I sell a $10,000 job, no problems, no ifs, ands, or buts. We're done, we're good. I sell a $600 job yesterday and the guys asked me 55 questions, right? And I'm just like, really, dude? It's like not that big of a job. You know what I mean? So the dude calls in, finds me from Craigslist, 2 hours out of town. I'm going to go see him tomorrow. I'm going to go bust this thing out for him. And the dude's asking me 1.5 million questions, right? Because he hasn't been on my YouTube stuff, my Landworks YouTube stuff, about land clearing stuff. So he doesn't know anything about land clearing. So he's hitting me up and he's asking me all these questions. My $10,000 people, they find me on YouTube, right? And then when I go to bid them, they're like, how much is it going to be? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be like 7-8 grand. It just depends on how many days it takes. And they're like, okay, cool. Because they've already done the research. I don't have to sell them on anything. There's 55 hours of video up there. They can spend it on their own time. But anyway, I wanted to get my lifestyle down a little bit so that I had all this time to create baller content. You know what I mean? To create stuff like this that I could start to build the wealth portion of my company. So now my company is like, I'm still working on my lighting in here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna definitely do some strips, get the lighting here perfect. But I want to talk about this stuff because when you get going, I wasn't messing around with my website. I wasn't like, I think it's important. I think it's really important to have an email address with your URL, and I think it's important to have a landing page. I wouldn't really mess around with crazy websites and stuff like that at the beginning because you're just trying to get your first 50 customers, right? Talking about getting your customers going, and there's different phases. So your first phase of a lawn company is 1 to 50, right? 1 to 50 customers. The reason I say this is because 1 to 10, you're making good money. If you're living at home, you're a kid, right? It's all cool. You're like, hell yeah, I got 10 lawns. I'm making like 30 bucks a cut, making 300 bucks a week. Everybody else is working at McDonald's like I did for like 8 bucks an hour. And like, I'm freaking crushing it. Life is awesome. If you're working a job, right? You're 35, you got a family, you're working a job, you're doing your 10 lawns on Saturday, you're working your job, you're working on Sunday. You got to get to that point where you got 25, 30 lawns, and then you kind of talk to the family and you're like, yo, I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to make this happen. But the point for you is you got to get to 50, man. You got to get to 50 lawns because at 50 lawns, 50 accounts, that kind of makes you a business, right? Now, one thing I want to talk about with your customers is once you get to 50, you don't have to go past 50. I have lots of customers that never went past 50 customers. But they started to cross-sell them. They started to cross-sell them power washing in the fall and winter times. They started to upsell them driveway sealing, tree trimming, like little things like that. Because they didn't need any more than 50 customers. There's plenty of revenue for the size business they wanted to have based on that. After 50, you have 50 to 100. This is a big deal. Because 50 to 100 means you're off the truck, right? Because you get to 100, you basically are on the truck. And you're working with 2 dudes. And then you got the choice at 100. When you hit 100 accounts, you got choice. Because you're 100 accounts, 100 bucks a month. You got 10 grand a month coming in. You're probably doing 5 grand a month in landscaping. You got 15 grand a month coming in. You got 2 guys working for you. Your lawnmowers are probably paid off. Maybe you don't have a finance truck, but if it's lawn care, you really shouldn't have a finance truck, bro. Lawn care, you're towing like a couple thousand pounds. Anything will do it. S10 will do it. F-150 will do it. You don't need some sort of crazy truck. You're driving around something more than 10 grand to mow lawns, I think you're fucking up. That's my opinion, right? I mean, if you're driving around something that's like 40, 50 grand, you better be hauling some freaking metal behind you. That's all I'm saying. You better be like freaking making cash. But anyway, not too much on that. So you got 100 accounts, right? Now you've got the point where you can hire in dudes. So hire someone to take your spot on that truck. This is why I mentioned you want a $10,000 truck or less. You can hire in a dude to take your spot. You go get another truck, a nicer truck, right? Or the same truck, or a shittier truck, do whatever you want. But this is where you get the nicer trucks, all right? And then you start building another one. Now, because you already got to 100, you've already got those customers referring you. So all you got to do is take all those 100 and say, hey, I need you to refer me one guy. And then you need to close half of them. So now you got 150, like that. Now you got 150, you got an operation going on. Your goal is to get from 150 to 200. Now you have a 2-truck business and you are off the trucks. You are running around managing the 2 trucks you have. Your life is pretty sweet, right? And then from there you decide where you want to go with it. So there are phases in lawn care or services. But the point there being is that you're going to get to this point in business where you're building customer base, where your biggest skill in business is the fact that you can build a customer base. Because now that I'm in mulching and I've got all these things, I'm like, okay, well now I got to build a customer base, right? I've got to build a customer base that's totally different than what I've been working on for 3 years. In fact, what I've been working on for 3 years doesn't even matter now. Like, it doesn't even matter now. It's over. It's just freaking over. I get a little spillover from it. I get a few contractors hit me up here and there for a couple of jobs. My prices are way higher than they used to be. I don't have nearly the contractors I used to work for, but I still make decent money on contractors. But now my customer base has changed. The point there being is I'm comfortable with that because I know how to get customers. I know how to build a customer base. If I went and I started a whole other thing, I started a nail salon, right? Just doing nails with the Asian ladies, I'm cool with it because I feel pretty good about being able to get a customer base. I look at the market and go, okay, what do we got to do